Stony Stratford. We're in the market square, and there's been a market here since the 12th century. It's now unfortunately a car park, but there is a farmer's market here once a month. So the pub there, the Crown, dates from 1760, and it was originally where the court sat. There's lots of other buildings that were pubs around the market square. That there, the Market House, it's got some metalwork that shows that it must have been a pub at some time, as is the one next door to it. And then we'll have a closer look at those down there. This used to be the police station, and then later on the courts, and that there little pharmacy, Cox and Robinson it's called, and that's been there for hundreds of years. We're on Church Street now, and this house here, number 36, used to be a tannery and leather works, and it moved, it was 1805 it was established, and it moved to Cosgrove in 1984. And this here, the same street, Sundial House, very nice sundial there, used to be a bakery. It's quite a substantial house here. I can't find anything out in particular about it. Stratford House, and that road there leads down to the mill and the river, nice riverside walk. The mill's now being adapted into apartments. Another view of the old police station. This tells us a little bit more about the market square. And these houses here, I'm sure some of them must have been a pub. This one here has got a date plaque on it that says 1770, and next to it brick-faced building with some sort of coat of arms above it. There's another view of the Crown. And at the end here, this tells us that this is the old King's Head. And here's the old fire station. We're on Silver Street, which was named for Queen Victoria's Silver Jubilee. The fire station was operational 1864 right up to 1958. And here's a little plaque. It was then used as the library, and in 1736 there was a huge fire, 53 houses destroyed. Coming into Horsefair Green now. There's been a horse market here since the 12th century. And a licence was established and given in 1787. It became a bit scruffy, and then was tidied up sort of the early 20th century, probably to do with the War Memorial being built. But some very nice houses along here, all from a different time in history. This building here, called Dean Cottages, used to be the village hospital. There's a nice big Edwardian looking house here, tucked away. And over here, nice houses, quite a substantial one there in the greyish colour with the big white doorway. Another view of the big house on the north side of the square, I think you'd say, and next to it there's, I think it's probably a Methodist chapel, could be a Baptist, which has been there since the mid-19th century. And we're going up here now towards Oakley Street. Well, we're here at Hayes, which is a little cul-de-sac of apartments with a very unusual tale. Edward Hayes engineers and boat builders were here from 1850 to 1925. You couldn't get much farther away from the sea, but they built small, powerful boats. It developed from a small foundry making agricultural equipment and developed into this business that employed 80 people. When the Sun took over, they were building tugs, river boats, ocean-going vessels, river launches, and they were sold as far afield as the Russian and Japanese navies. So how did they get them to the sea? We couldn't be farther away from the sea here in Stony Stratford. They were towed by steam engines along the high street, down there, to Hayes Wharf and launched sideways into the canal. And then onwards to London or other ports where they were delivered to the consignee. So here we are, the clue in the street name again, Hayes. And if we go up here and to the left, there's a little garden with some memorabilia in there. This is very nicely done, isn't it? Doesn't actually say though, I can't see that it says anywhere about the Hayes boatyard actually in here, but there's all sorts of metal bits that must be parts of boats that would give you a clue. There's a funny wooden man sitting there and other bits up here. This is York House. It was built in 1850 for a local banker called John Oliver. Built in the Georgian style. It's now Grade 2 listed. It was a family home for many years, and then in 1905 became a school. And when it closed in 1957, it was eventually bought for the St Giles Youth Club. It's had lots of government grants since then and developed into a community centre, which it still is today. This house, now known as Oakley House, originally called Mansfield, just down from where the Hayes boatyard was the family home built for the Hayes family. Plough Inn was formerly a school built in 1871 by the architect Swinfen Harris. He had a house built at the other end of High Street, which we'll look at later on. Quite a well-known local benefactor, because that arcade over there is called Swinfen's Yard. We're standing outside what used to be the old ticket office for the tram to Wolverton. It ran all the way along there to the Wolverton works. It was a huge tram that took about 100 people. The top decks were open-sided with curtains, and it ran from 1887 to 1926. There was a famous conductor called Little Billy. He was called Billy Newton, and he was under 5 feet tall, and apparently he was very jovial and jolly and friendly. The top speed was 9 miles an hour. Must have been quite something, mustn't it, really, to see this huge tram. This was the terminus on this corner, but there was an extension built later on to Wolverton to pick up workers from Wolverton as well. And the building attached to it is called, well, it's now a performing arts school, but it tells us up there that it was the British School, and it was erected in 1844, and it was for children who weren't allowed to go to a C of E school. So another look at the ticket office, the old school, and that's where the tram would have gone down to Wolverton. And then we're having a walk down High Street, which is Watling Street, looking at the old buildings on either side. Clarification on the last slide, mistake made. I said that there was an extension built to the tramway that went to Wolverton. What I meant to say was went to Deanshanger and then onwards to Wolverton. And here's a picture of the tram itself.